Dr. Hovind, I love your doctoral thesis. I've torn it to pieces with house and gaffle. I can't remember when I last pissed myself laughing. It's a good thing the thesis mopped the piss off the floor.
Welcome to part 44 of this read-through and peer review of Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which was published on wikileaks.org on December the 9th, 2009. If you have not yet seen the previous parts in this series, then I recommend that you go back and see those first, as in this episode I will start off exactly where I left off in the last. In the last episode, Kent gave us a quote mine from Colin Patterson how nobody had ever created a species by mechanisms of natural selection. After which, Ray Comfort asked for his banana back. In this episode, Kent elaborates a little more on those mechanisms. Kent continues in his pidgin English. The mechanisms for evolution that they try to tell us works so well are mutations and natural selection. No one has ever produced a new species by those means. Evolution is a religion. Okay, we'll discount the last sentence. The first sentence was factually correct. I will just tackle the second sentence. No one has ever produced a new species by those means. Well, first of all, Kent, you have to really understand what a species is and what is classed as speciation. You see, what certainly has been created is variation or varieties, and the difference between those varieties, say from one end of the range to the other, for instance a Great Dane and a Chihuahua, are so significant that they actually border on speciation. I mean, for instance, one of the most often quoted signs of speciation is an ability to interbreed, and I'm sure that viewers and readers alike will agree that no viable offspring are going to be produced between a Great Dane and a Chihuahua. Not by natural means, not without something exploding. Probably the Chihuahua. So in reality, Kent, although both are dogs and both are different varieties of dogs, their variation between each other is so great that they are quite literally on the verge of being completely different species. There are, of course, many different reasons why they aren't, but I'm not going to go into them here. I'll let the viewer and the reader look those up. But I'm sure you get the drift of exactly where I'm going with this. Anyhow, Kent continues. If evolutionists want to believe it, that is fine, but that is just their faith. Yes, Kent, and it's backed by a shit pile of scientific evidence. But carry on, Kent. I want to believe that God created it, and that is my faith, and I readily admit it. Yes, Kent, but unfortunately the only thing in the way of any evidence or proof that you happen to have for what you readily believe is a dusty old book written by goat herders at some point a few thousand years ago. Cutting edge, it ain't. But continue. Many say we can't mix religion and the public schools. In the first place, that is a faulty argument. The public schools desperately need some religion. Is that so, Kent? I think the reader and the viewer can spot a little problem with that, but we'll let you carry on. They were started by religious institutions. Yes, Kent, apart from most of them which weren't. There is nothing wrong with putting our religion in the public schools. No, there isn't, Kent. I'll actually agree with you on that one, just as long as you allow everybody else to put their religions into the public schools as well. But then again, there's the problem. We won't mention church and state. I mean, that's obviously a very big problem for what you're proposing, but if we allowed all of the religions, and there are quite a few, then students wouldn't exactly learn a great deal now, would they? Except maybe, I don't know, a shit pile of batshit crazy ideas that just don't agree with each other and are contradictory to what you actually observe in the world around you, a pathological hatred for everybody who's different, and in some cases, how to make bombs and blow stuff up. And before any Muslims that are watching get somewhat upset and angry and start thinking about lopping my head off, I'd just like to point out that Christian fundamentalists are pretty good at blowing shit up too. But anyway, let's let Kent get back to his morality. The second argument that many people say is, well, you can't mix church and state. And it's a good argument too. But anyway, that is not found anywhere in the Constitution. That is in Jefferson's writings, the separation of church and state. The Constitution says that the government can make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or hindering the free exercise thereof. And for any viewers or readers getting a feeling of déjà vu, yes, Kent did use that particular argument only a few pages back. And yes, Kent did miss the point that spending tax dollars to teach kids Christianity is in fact endorsing it. But anyway, at this point, Kent has a little bit of a revelation. He continues, teaching our young people that we evolved from monkeys in hindering the religion of Christianity. Actually, Kent, I think what you really meant to say there was teaching them scientifically proven facts and theories is somewhat disproving your Bronze Age bullshit. But continue. It's causing them to doubt their faith, and it needs to be eliminated. What does, Kent? The verifiable and scientific proof that totally blows your Bronze Age bullshit out of the water? Or the Bronze Age bullshit that's been blown out of the water? I personally would go with the latter. But anyway, the First Amendment goes against the teaching of evolution. Really, Kent? I don't see how, but carry on. It is a hindrance to religious activity. And that's a bad thing how exactly? Evolution is just a religion. No, it's not, Kent. We must establish early in the discussion that the creation-evolution question cannot be scientifically resolved, because both are religious faiths, they are dogmas, they are what you believe. Really, Kent? You see, a dogma is something that is to be believed without dispute, and you see, the thing is about evolution is that, well, people have been trying to dispute it now for quite some time, certainly before Darwin. And you know what, Kent? When it comes down to the scientific evidence, they haven't managed it. You see, Kent, when it really comes down to it, what you're given is two choices. Believe something that has absolutely no evidence, nothing to back it up apart from a dusty old book and somebody who gets up at the front of a congregation every Sunday and says, "You must believe or you will burn forever." And something else that is self-evident, it's testable, it's verifiable, and most importantly, it's falsifiable. But unfortunately, well, for you, nobody's managed to come up with anything that has falsified it.